Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is the South African Chamber of Commerce, and we are spending some quality time today with a number of really interesting people. The Chamber has been running a series of various interesting topics ranging from global citizens to managing the issues and understanding some of the challenges some of our state-owned enterprises have been doing. We've been talking to entrepreneurs, and today we are talking, because it is Youth Month, we are dealing with the issues of youth unemployment. If there are issues with my quality of my sound and my video, I do apologize. I'm Sharon Constançon. I'm chairman of the South African Chamber of Commerce and have a number of really interesting people with me today. I'm going to name them, but I will introduce them formally at the time that it is for them to be joining us and to be sharing time with us. We have Leanne Emery Hunter, who is YES Chief Marketing and Client Officer. We have Farai Mubawaya, YES Chief Partnerships Officer. We have Juanita Serpentine, Chief Organizational Officer of ITU Varsity and YES Youth. And we have with us today something very special, Akibas Hartley, which is a YES alumni, a lady who has been through the program. So we're seeing it right from the boss to somebody who has actually been part of this exercise. So look forward to a very interesting conversation today to understand how we are going to get the youth back into work and how every little bit is one more person who is employed and one more person that is educated. And that is the key message that we would like to get across. So first of all, maybe we can start with Leanne Emery Hunter. If you'd like to come on camera, Leanne. Thank you for joining me. And Leanne and I have had a number of conversations over the past couple of months in planning for today. And we thank you very much for coming to the session and to bring with us everything that you are going to be sharing with us. So we're going to cover the SA Youth Zero Rated platform, which has been created through partnerships with the Presidency of South Africa, YES National Youth Development Agency, the Department of Employment and Labour, and Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator. So SA Youth is free and zero-rated national platform and connects talented and engaged work seekers to various opportunities, including, yes, full-time jobs, part-time jobs, learnerships, volunteering, and learning opportunities. So we are going to get a insight into this from Leanne. Leanne, do you want to share with us a few minutes, for the next 5 minutes or so, let the audience know a little bit about the Youth Employment Service and what that does and your role therein.
Thanks, Sharon, and thanks to everybody for joining us this morning. I see on the chat that there are a number of you joining us from the UK. It's also very cold here in Johannesburg, and it's wonderful to be speaking to you from all around the world. We actually at YES have a number of British companies that have joined the program here in South Africa, and really we are very focused on multinational organizations at the moment as well. So YES, the Youth Employment Service, was created to really try and combat this experience trap that so many South Africans face. So in South Africa, according to Bloomberg, we are the worst unemployment rates in the world at the moment. And 2 in 3 young South Africans, so South Africans under the age of 35, are currently jobless. So it's really difficult for young people to break that experience trap. You know, there's this conundrum, I can't get a job without experience, and I can't get experience without a job. South Africa, obviously, with our history of apartheid and exclusion, YES was created to try and include young people into the economy and through the private sector. So a number of years back, around 2016, the president called to business to say there are a number of wicked challenges that we in South Africa face, one of which is youth unemployment. How are we as CEOs, so we went to a whole lot of South African CEOs of big business and said, how are we going to tackle this problem? What are we going to do? And working with government, labor, and the private sector, YES was born. And YES was created to provide an incentive for businesses to come on board and to create opportunities for youth. So if you understand BEE, maybe perhaps for those who don't understand BEE, in South Africa, there are BEE regulations, which is Black Economic Empowerment regulations, where basically businesses get points for being good corporate citizens and for being inclusive and empowering. So that's within their value chains, within their own businesses. And this program provides businesses with an incentive. Those who come on board and create opportunities for youth will receive BEE points, and this makes them more competitive in their markets, and it signals to the market that they're good corporate citizens. So that's kind of the history of YES and where we were born. And what we've managed to do to date, we've been in operation for just over 3 years. We have 2,200 programs registered to date through the program. And we have 81,000 job opportunities created for young people. And part of the challenge with South Africa is that around 50% of youth entering the workforce every year do not have a basic secondary school qualification. So YES is trying to really be innovative to give access to youth no matter what level of qualification they have. We have youth on our program who are actuaries. We have youth on our program who don't have a secondary school education. So we're trying to find innovative ways that corporates can sponsor these job opportunities, they receive the incentive, and then they're able to actually affect broad-based change by getting youth into jobs. So businesses have the opportunity to place these youth in their own organizations as part of their normal pipeline management system. We've got a lot of retail clients, for example, that hire large volumes of youth every year. And then alternatively, they can, if clients can't place youth in their own organization and increase their headcount. So some of our clients are hosting 1,900 youth or sponsoring 1,900 youth, and they can't necessarily bring those youth into their own organizations. So we have this beautiful turnkey model where clients can sponsor the jobs, but place youth in numerous host partners, and youth have to do a 12-month work experience. So this de-risks youth to future employers, makes them 3 times more employable. They receive a smartphone with digital learning and work readiness applications, and they receive this 1-year work experience. And if they're placed in host partners, these jobs, not only are these youth placed in jobs, but they're placed in jobs in communities which are really close to home, which is a huge factor for South Africans. Travel, spatial inequality is still a major challenge in South Africa. So this helps to place youth within their own communities. And some of our host partners are working in areas like education, healthcare, digital, conservation. And Yonita, who's on the call, she's one of our host partners, IT Varsity. So our youth are placed in these beautiful jobs. And then not only do our clients and these youth get this work opportunity and the clients get the BE incentive or points, but in addition to that, we found more and more that our clients are integrating these the YES programs into their sustainability strategies, specifically environmental, social, and governance, that's ESGs, as well as their UN Sustainable Development Goal strategy. So we have a beautiful international FMCG company at the moment who's not doing YES for BE, but they're doing YES in a longer term project where they are sponsoring young women for 3 years And these young women are in jobs ranging from education to creative content. And my colleague Farai will explain the partnership model a little bit more. But in a nutshell, that is what YES is about. We're really trying to connect youth to economic opportunity. And the best way for youth to become employable is to gain that first work experience. And so we are incentivizing the private sector to come on board and create these opportunities for young people. And to date, we've managed to inject 4.5 billion Rand back into the South African economy through the private sector. So we are seeing that this has an enormous ripple effect on communities and families.
Amazing. Leanne, in your bio, you use some really strong, emotive, passionate, human words. And you talk about the passion you need to have a purpose, your reason for getting up every morning. And you say that you found a home now in YES. And you specifically mention particularly working with young women. Just give us a little bit about why young women. Are there differences that you recognize, and what kind of roles are the young women typically picking up?
So thanks, Sharon. I mean, I personally, I've worked in many industries, from telecoms to professional services to education. Most recently, in a global education company before joining YES, and I definitely feel like I found my home, and I'm able to get up every day. And I think as South Africans, often things look quite dire, and there's a lot of challenges that we as South Africans face. And it's just such a privilege to be able to wake up every morning and know, even when things are tough, that you are doing something that hopefully will create a better future for young people, for future generations. But I think one of the things that we are very proud of at YES is that around 60% of the YES youth placed are young women. And these young women are breaking boundaries. They are working as forklift operators, as drone pilots, as coders. They're working in industries that are often typically quite male dominated, but we're just seeing this beautiful focus and this breaking of boundaries for young women. And there's this beautiful sentiment that what actually you can and women can. And it's wonderful to see young people, young women specifically, working in such high impact sectors, from education to conservation to really future facing industries that we're seeing, like, as I mentioned, drones, technology, coding, cybersecurity, and really breaking these boundaries. And it's exciting for us to see.
It is wonderful to see. And thank you very much for your passion, Leanne. We'll pick up a lot more of her passion when we get to the Q&A session as well. I'd like to now introduce Farai Mubaiwa, Chief Partnership Officer of YES. Farai is at YES, which is a business-led NPO, which working in partnership with government and labour to initiate policy changes, and which incentivizes the creation of jobs for youth. As the Chief Partnership Officer of YES, Farai, please share with us what your role is about and the key important messages you would like to get across to our audience today.
Super. Thank you, Sharon, for the opportunity, and a very good morning to everyone. It's been really interesting reading all the comments in the chat, knowing how many different countries people are from, and thank you for taking the time to want to understand the work that we do at the Youth Employment Service. My role as the Chief Partnerships Officer is a really, really exciting role, because there is a strong realization within the youth unemployment industry that unless we collaborate, then we won't ever solve this crisis. And Leanne painted a really important and true reflection on the youth unemployment crisis we're facing in our country. And historically, there has been this belief that government should sort out unemployment or NGOs should sort out unemployment. But where we find ourselves today is understanding that unless we collaborate between government, the private sector, NGO, and civil society, then we won't see an end to the crises that we face. So in my role, I facilitate relationships between YES and civil society and other NGOs, as well as with Presidency, and also being involved in some private sector work whenever I need to support the business development team. When we're looking at, who are the partners YES has and what is our relationship with these partners, we can actually segment it into different paths. And I want us to start with the corporates. So like Leanne said, YES partners with the private sector to create jobs for young people. And these are 12-month work experience opportunities where a young person gets critical work experience on the ground. So we help them break the experience trap. Corporates can either host the youth internally, so they can sign up with YES and host the youth within their business, or they can choose to host youth with one of our partners. And Leanne did mention the turnkey solution, which is where we've got a number of partners who are hosted on behalf of the corporates. One of the questions in the chat that speaks about corporate specifically asked, who are the British companies, or how many British companies do we have, and how do they actually participate within YES? And we've got 22 British companies that have signed up with YES and 19 which are registered. Those 19 have created over 970 jobs for unemployed youth. And this includes Sage, who are on the second year of their program. This includes Rossmold as well. And corporates can then pick how they'd like to structure this. So they can host youth internally or host them with our partners. Rossmold has at times done both models, which would look at how they can host youth with our partners as teacher assistants. Sage has also looked at both models as well. So it's been really exciting. And I think what we'd really love to get out of this webinar is how we can have more private sector involvement, so more British and European companies signing up with YES so that you can help us really deal with the unemployment crisis that we have and also receive your benefits, whether from a BEE perspective or from aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals or your ESG strategy. So we've looked at partners in terms of clients, and there's other groups of partners which I'd love for us to discuss. One would be YES's relationship with government, which would be through the DTIC. And that is where we get our gazetted mandate to actually administer BEE levels on behalf of corporates. And we've got a really positive relationship because this means that YES is the only organization in the country which has this mandate to actually give corporates levels up in return for the youth jobs that they've created. We also have a very strong relationship with Presidency, where we've sat and aligned looking at what are key solutions for us to solve the youth unemployment crisis. And this includes looking at identifying high growth industries post-COVID-19, engaging with corporates in those high growth industries, finding partners in those industries and creating jobs for youth. This also means looking at platforms like you mentioned a bit earlier, Sharon, SA Youth, where we're saying, let's decrease the cost of job seeking for young people and all place opportunities onto a centralized platform that is zero rated for unemployed youth. So YES has a really strong relationship with Presidency so that we can ensure that we are working together between private sector, Presidency, and YES to be aligned on how we actively creating opportunities for young people and how are these sustainable opportunities. The last batch of partnerships to touch on would be partners on the ground. And Lee mentioned this when she had spoken a bit earlier on the turnkey solution, because it's important for us that we create impact. And you'll find that having young people who are based in Sandton in Johannesburg, which is the richest square mile in Africa, may not have the same impact as young people who are based within rural communities. And so we've got a lot of partners on the ground who help us have YES programs of impact. So they would run a turnkey solution for clients, many of whom are NGOs, partners that is. And these partners provide youth with a 12-month quality work experience opportunity. Our partners are situated all over the country, and they do the most incredible work, from young people working in schools as your teacher assistants, And if you have young people as teacher assistants, that frees up time for teachers to teach, which has a direct impact on numeracy and literacy rates. We've then also got a number of partners who are working as lay counselors. And for me, I find the healthcare space so fascinating because once young people are working as lay counselors administering HIV tests, it destigmatizes HIV within the community and encourages young people to actually come to the clinic and get tested. And the yield is a lot higher when young people are based at the clinic. We've got a number of young people working as ECD practitioners, working within SMMEs. So the turnkey solution has that community impact because it means that the young person doesn't have to migrate from home to find a job. They get a job where they live. They can build up that local economy and contribute really positively. So partnerships in a nutshell are yes, not just from the NGO space, not just from Presidency, but also looking at how we can encourage corporates to work with us so we can unlock opportunities for young people.
Right, that is absolutely fascinating and so encouraging to hear the different elements of the partnerships and how they work together. Just one quick question. Looking at the different elements that you've just described that make up this pie, make up this whole partnership scene that you're working at with, what area do you personally find the most challenging to achieve in this partnership model that you have? Is it the corporates? Is it the presidency? Is it the people? Is it the youth? Where's your personal biggest challenge?
Sure. Thanks, Sharon, for the question. And I think it's a really important one. I'll start off by saying that where South Africa finds itself now in terms of partnerships is definitely significantly better than how we've been with partnerships historically. What we have now is that we've got a platform called the National Pathway Management Network, which is a government-led network which includes the private sector, government, civil society, so that we can come up with what are solutions to combating youth unemployment. A few years ago, such network did not exist, which made partnerships nearly impossible to actually achieve. But now that we've got a pathway management network, this allows us to share best practice and to learn from one another. I think that, if we're looking at partnerships, and to your question specifically in terms of what is tricky, you'll find that within South Africa, we've got a huge supply side. So we've got a huge number of unemployed young people searching for opportunities. And on the demand side, we have got less opportunities. Opportunities are limited for numerous reasons. One, it could be that the opportunities which the private sector wants are not actually matching the skills that young people have. So there's that skills mismatch, which is often a factor. Or number two, the private sector simply does not have the capacity to be able to create all of these jobs. And hence we're finding to say as yes, how do we then incentivize the private sector to participate within yes? How do we increase the demand? And that, I think, has been a huge focus for us as a demand partner. And that means we have to be very, very innovative in our approach. That means recognizing that for some companies, BEE is important. For others, what's more important is alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals. And how do we have a model that caters to the Sustainable Development Goals? So I think, this conversation will be great to see even more companies signing up with us so we can ensure that we're combating youth unemployment, but also aligning with what's important to that company.
Thank you. A very thorough answer. And yes, I have to use the word. It is important for all of us in business to work out how can we think differently, how can we think innovatively to employ even just one more person, even if it's remote working, which I think is one of the massive opportunities that our youth have today, is to be able to work remotely for UK companies, for Australian companies, and for the company in Sandton while they're sitting in the homeland environment or in a township environment or in a suburb, wherever they may be. So I think those opportunities are for us to also start thinking differently. Juanita, if we could maybe have a chat with you briefly. Juanita, who is sometimes known as Jo, because some of us can't get our tongues around Juanita. She's Chief Organizational Officer of IT Varsity. She provides strategies for scaling business in education, tech, and entrepreneurial fields, identifying targeted growth plans so they can produce global products and achieve sustainable profits. So a very broad area that you cover, Juanita. If you'd like to share with us for the next 5 minutes or so a little bit about what drives you and how this relates to YES.
Sure. Well, good morning to everybody. And Sharon, thank you, Sharon. And yes, thank you for the opportunity to represent and to be on the panel today. So yes, a mouthful, but I think that the bottom line is I got involved with IT Varsity last year through the implementation partnership plan that Yes for Youth have. And I love the fact that Farai was mentioning collaboration and Leanne was referring to collaboration, because as much as we need to work with corporates and with business and with government and private sector to alleviate unemployment in South Africa, we also learn to collaborate with the implementation partners and the companies that works with YES to create opportunity. So bottom line, what it means is we have identified in IT Varsity that education is really important. If we want to change people's lives, they have to educate themselves. And that does not mean that they do have to have a university degree. I'm all for training, but sometimes education is also short-term programs or a quick skill that they can learn that they can go and offer to other companies where they can generate income. So the education part, really important. On a technology side, obviously I'm a little bit biased because we are a tech company and we focus on teaching tech skills. But if we want to create opportunity that are prone to collaboration, we need to be able to automate services, but also to touch the lives of people that are even internationally, like you've mentioned, companies in the UK or India or Bangladesh or wherever that is. And in my previous experience, finding employment after these programs are really problematic. We can train young people, but then there isn't enough jobs or they don't get sustainable income and contracts. It's mostly short-term contracts. So my passion, my lifelong passion has been entrepreneurship. And what we are doing in IT Varsity is we are creating the opportunity that youth, while they are studying and while they are doing their education, can start creating the mindset of an entrepreneur. Do not wait for the job opportunity. Do not wait to ask for the next stipend coming your way. Start creating a mindset where you deliver such incredible work that people are willing to pay you for that, whether that is from the UK or Bangladesh or in South Africa, whether you sit in a small community in the middle of Limpopo or Free State or Mpumalanga, wherever that is in South Africa, if you skill yourself and you grab the opportunity, you use technology to bring the two worlds together, you can and will be an entrepreneurial spirit. So in all my talks, I always talk, don't wait for the job to come your way. Create a mindset where whatever it is you learn to do, you collaborate with other people and you start putting your skills out to the world using social media or technology or collaborative opportunities. So in IT Varsity, what we do is we focus on new venture creation. We teach youth how to use technology to advertise their businesses. We use appreneur training, techpreneur training, where it's basically learnerships of using technology, building apps, building e-commerce websites, learning to code, learning to go and teach others how to develop those skills, and as such being able to spread the opportunity into the community. We focus a lot on women. And it's very interesting. We were involved in a very big project where we trained 250 women to become entrepreneur learnership qualification and graduates. And these women got onto the program not knowing anything about technology, being scared about it. Now, it sounds like I know everything about technology. I don't. When I got involved in IT Varsity, I didn't know how to code. I thought apps are for techies, for super intelligent people knowing how to use technology. No, we've demystified that, and we make it so simple for them to solve problems by using technology. And suddenly the barrier of this is difficult, I can't do it, was removed. So with IT Varsity, yes, we are seeking for job opportunities after our training and after the intervention with corporates and yes, for youth. But we are creating a mindset of the entrepreneur. And I believe an entrepreneur isn't someone that just has their own business. It's the way you think. It's problem solving. It's collaborating. It's making what you have bigger by adding it to someone else's service offering and product offering to the world. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. I think COVID was fantastic for us because we simply just continued doing what we did because we're a virtual company. So we train through the use of technology. You need a device and you need internet, and we can train people and show them how to run businesses. And then just lastly, what I would like to mention is that a lot of companies want to use technology in skilling their youth or in skilling their staff, but they don't know where to begin. And IT Varsity partnered with other companies where we said, we'll come in and do the training for you and give that exposure to the youth. And you maybe provide a job opportunity or the stipend or the funding for that. But we believe that it's collaboration, and it is using what you do well, add that to what someone else does really well, and that opportunity is bigger.
Amazing, Juanita. Thank you very much for that. I was at the conference at the SA House yesterday, which was being run by the PESA, which is the Association for Business Process Outsourcing. And the comment and the discussion went around the competence that India has in the business process outsourcing IT side. And I listened to you and I listened to the IT Varsity and the education. Can South Africa catch up with India as an IT solution provider globally? And what more is it going to take to achieve that?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked me that question. So we are currently speaking to a technology company in Bangladesh. So India has a lot of technical skills. Bangladesh worldwide has the biggest freelance group, technical freelance group in the world. So we are speaking to Bangladesh, and we actually said to them, a company in Bangladesh, and we said, we want to start an exchange program. Can you bring some of your skills into our youth? But can you offer an opportunity for our youth, whether they sit wherever in South Africa, to work on projects that you have and that you manage from Bangladesh? And the same with India. They're also open to that opportunity. I believe that we are 100% able to be on par with the skills of India and Bangladesh or wherever in the world. And I actually think we can be better at it. And I'll tell you why. South Africans have the highest unemployment rate. Some people do not even apply for jobs because they know they're probably not going to get it. If we create the mindset of create your own future, which we have, Africans are resilient. We know how to make a plan. As an Afrikaans woman, I know a boer maak 'n plan. So you know how to make plans. That's the South African and the African spirit in us. It's the opportunity and the connection that's missing. If we can play that role of connecting people globally, and we provide that skill and the mentorship, and that's what's most important. And I know when Akifa talks about her journey, mentorship is what makes the difference. We create mentorship in that development phase of youth creating their skill and learning skills. We can be on par, if not surpass, the skill set shown and provided internationally.
And I think one other asset I think we have as a country in South Africa is, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to say it, but our accent, the way we speak English, it is far more comfortable to the global ear than it might be from Bangladesh or it might be from India. Philippines is another big outsourcing country.
Yeah.
And if you think of the quality of English spoken in South Africa, we need to play on that as well. And if we can combine our English, our remoteness, and technology, I go with you. We can take on the largest supplier of that solution.
Sure.
And if you think of how big India is, and think of our unemployment size, we could employ everybody.
Absolutely, and I think, Sharon, if I may just add this to it, and Mark, I see your comment in the chat box of, we have youth stories where youth came to us with no skill, and one of these youth, for instance, if I say no skill, no further skill after matric, we had a youth that started with a matric with us, and we needed someone to develop IT skills and dashboards and technology on how to do reporting. And all we did was create the opportunity. And today that unemployed youth became a youth through the YES program and has now been appointed as a permanent staff member, a national data and reporting coordinator for a big company. But it was about creating the opportunity, the mentorship, and that youth particularly have created amazing work and amazing opportunities to grow the business. And I know we'll hear from Akifa as well, her story. But I do believe that specifically technology and specifically what we got through the virtual world of COVID and lockdown has enabled a further category that we might not always look at, and that's your differently able-bodied youth. Using technology, you can be disabled and sit anywhere in the world and provide a world-class service. And we have found that we take in more disabled, differently abled youth, training them on technology because it's an avenue they didn't before think there's an opportunity for them. So I think we need to be clever and we need to guide and mentor whole people, which is your mentoring, your language, your soft skills, your hard skills, technical skills. And in doing that, we can create global opportunity for the South African youth.
And that will get rid of our unemployment if we carry on at this rate and
Yes.
work at it. And for others to know that opportunity is then to believe in themselves, which I think is a key message you were getting across to us.
Absolutely.
Akifa Hartley, if you could join us on the panel, please. Akifa will let us understand and share with us her journey through your youth employment service, YES, to where she is today. Akifa, please come on camera.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Welcome. Do you want to share your journey?
Yes, well, what the journey it's actually been. Yeah, so basically, I actually found myself unemployed, and as COVID hit, it was scary because you had to like navigate the unknown. And what does that look like? At the time, a lot of companies were actually closing down, and it was full on lockdown. I remember very clearly the 26th of March. It's engraved in my memory. And, you know, with finding yourself unemployed as well as going through COVID and full on lockdown, like roads, everything was closed, everything was empty. I needed to tap into something that, because at the end of the day, I still had bills, I still had things to do, I still had responsibilities to take care of. And I feel like the mindset then was I needed to think of a solution. And obviously joining the YES for Youth program gave me that opportunity where I feel like the space of COVID or the lockdown definitely was an opportunity for you to go and learn and just go and learn skills that you did not have. So if you were at home, you had the opportunity to go and learn. You had the opportunity to go and experience and to go and build your T-shaped skills, because what I found, what was so valuable, especially with my YES journey, is that I was not learning or honing in on one skill. And obviously being part of IT Varsity, I got to be exposed to building skills that I could apply in the remote setup. And that gave me an added advantage, especially with the area that we're currently in, which is both in terms of what skills do I need to navigate the new post-COVID world? What skills do the work require, the workplace actually require? And there were skills, even if you were, qualified, whether you had previous work experience, there was a new set of requirement that the workplace was actually requesting for you to have in order to actually be successful in it. With IT Varsity, I got to, go and build my tech skills. I became into coding. I got introduced to coding. I got passionate about technology. My purpose has always been to obviously have an impact on the human race. That has been my fundamental know and purpose. I've always had the love and passion of impacting humans, societies, communities. I thought that initially that would be through hypnotherapy and psychology, which is the background I come from. But interesting enough, I found that technology and working in the space of education gave me such great advantage to actually do that. And while I was building myself and self-developing in a space that was new to me, I was equally contributing and making an impact on my peers and within communities and within society where people actually needed the skills. So I definitely really enjoyed that. Sorry, I'm actually seeing my dad commenting in the section. Hi, Dad. So I definitely enjoyed those kind of exposure, and it was so important to, as youth of South Africa, as much as we were going through, the depression, because let's be honest, our mental health was not the best during COVID. There was a lot of losses. There were a lot of businesses being shut down, and to migrate your mindset from problem based, to reframe it to becoming solution based was definitely, I think, a form of resilience. And like Joe explained earlier about South Africans having to tap into it, and being part of this Yes for Youth program, as well as your work experience, learning certain skills in the workplace, it was also about building the mindset to actually navigate and to kind of build the confidence to knowing how to actually approach the industry, to go and sell yourself as a brand, to go and look at yourself as a brand, to look at yourself as an entrepreneur, even if you are working within a company, which is probably a very crazy idea, because like, how do you be an entrepreneur while working in a space? But if you look at yourself as a brand and knowing that this is something that you need to market, that this is something you need to, show someone why they should invest in you, because that is what employees are doing. They are investing, and being able to be a brand to be you, like, okay, this is what I'm able to bring to the table. This is what I'm able to contribute. And while my skills may not be necessarily wide, I have the capacity and I've got the attitude that comes with, I'm hungry to learn, So I feel like the Yes for Youth program does a lot in terms of exposing you to that. Equally, once you are getting placed into this, environment, once you become permanent, now you have the opportunity to go and share your experience and mentor others throughout this process as well. So you're not only ending your journey with, okay, your personal self-development, but you get to actually share that. And there's this next level of learning, which is through teaching and mentoring. You learn so much when you actually, teaching others and mentoring others throughout that same process, and migrating their mindsets from that problem base of, I'm stuck, I'm unemployed, I have no opportunities, to migrating them to solutions and opportunities, and being aware that problems is just, an opportunity in disguise, and being aware that you need to tap into your resilience, you need to tap into your resource state if you want to actually be successful, that you don't actually need that much as you think you need in terms to, be successful or to make a success of yourself. And I definitely enjoy that aspect of what we do, working, in the space with Yes for Youth and what IT Varsity and also all the partner companies, what everybody comes together to create is migrating from the problem and working towards the solution and being on the other side of it as well. Not just, okay, I've developed myself, so now that's where it ends. But now making it full circle and saying, okay, let's contribute. Like I can now help my peers. I can now mentor others. I can now show someone else, okay, so this was my journey. You can do the same. I'm a single mom. I'm young. I was in a place of supposed helplessness. And if I can do this, you've got the same capacity to do the same. And let me show you how. So yeah, I think it's an evolving journey.
Thank you. Akiba, through the days since the 26th of March, 2 and a bit years ago, if you had to pick, what was the one biggest day, challenge, moment, emotion that you had to really dig deep in yourself? What was it and how did you manage that?
I think is, like you have a choice when you are, when life is throwing you with a curveball of, so you don't have a job. You've just been retrenched because there's no budget for whatever. And the market is closed. What
I think you might have frozen. Akiba, I think we might have lost you there. I'm sure there were some great words of wisdom we were hoping to get from Akiba. We'll see if we can get back to that question. Maybe Leanne and Farai and Juanita, do you want to come join us on camera? Thank you, ladies. It's a pleasure to have you all back. Leanne, it feels like ages ago that you were chatting, having been our initial speaker. Could you give me some insights on what are the particular sectors that Yes is finding its highest degree of success? And what do you think is the contributing factor to those industries being, or sectors being so successful?
Thanks, Sharon. So it's just quite something to go after Akiba, I must tell you. To be
I'm so sorry we've lost her. Hopefully she'll be back in a moment.
Akiba, after that inspiring young woman, and I love the fact that Dad's on the line too. And I'm sure that Dad, you must get a run for your money every day, and how wonderful to have such an inspiring daughter. So yeah, it's just so wonderful to hear from a young woman that's so inspiring and reminds us every day of why we need to give more youth these critical work opportunities, because they really are the future leaders, and so inspiring. So we work with all sectors really, Sharon. I mean, across the board. We started with the CEO initiative, and we really had a big uptake from particularly the financial sector. We work with a lot of retail clients. ShopRite is our biggest job creator. They've created over 7,500 jobs to date. We've got a lot of hero clients that we can mention, but I don't want to mention every single one of them. But,
you might be for a while.
Yeah, but really, for us, we have a lot of JSE listed companies. We have a lot of businesses that are in the automotive, manufacturing, retail, financial sector. Had quite an uptick in healthcare companies, transport organizations. The one sector that we really focused on at the moment is mining. And we have realized with mining that this ESG value proposition that we were talking about, so beyond BE, the fact that we are placing youth in jobs, and we've done this beautiful program with Anglo Platinum, where they have placed youth in Rustenburg in communities, and really, their mandate is to build thriving communities, and these jobs that these youth are doing are creating such an impact and uplifting the communities outside of just mining jobs, so jobs in education, as security, in municipalities, digital skills, etc. So we really work across multiple sectors. Some sectors in traditionally South Africa, BEE was more of a focus than other sectors, whereas now we're finding beyond BEE, this is opening up a lot more sectors to us, particularly mining clients that we're focusing on, but really, and we've also got a lot of multinational businesses that have come on board. I think Mark in the chat mentioned that beyond BEE, we're also looking at multinational clients building equity equivalent type programs, or just programs that tie into their sustainable development goal strategies. So we really are trying to develop a value proposition for our clients that allows us to unlock as many opportunities for youth. And I think as businesses are seeing beyond BEE, if 2 in 3 young people currently are unemployed, what does that mean for the future of the country? What does that mean for your business? And what is the legacy that you as a business leader and as an organization want to leave behind? And so we'd really encourage any business in any industry to speak to us, and we can really tailor the Yes proposition to work with you and your goals.
Fantastic, Leanne. Just a question, sort of a bit unrelated, but I know the Presidency and Special, particularly Envoy Emery, is working on foreign direct investment into the country. Do any of your programs tap into that foreign direct investment that's coming into the country in any way?
Farai, you've been working with Presidency. I'm not sure if there's anything directly there that you can speak to.
So I think where there would be linkages would be with the special economic zones that we are working with Presidency. We're looking specifically in terms of the involvement of youth within these zones, the sectors that the special economic zones are focusing on, and then how we can collaborate between Presidency, Yes, as well as the private sector. That said, we are still in the early stages of exploring that partnership. We have started with the Gauteng provincial government, exploring opportunities within the automotive space, global business services, ICT, and digital. So there's definitely still a lot more work that we can do. But if the chamber does have involvement as well, Yes, would be very happy to explore those further opportunities.
So to either Leanne or Farai, and Juanita, maybe potentially in your side as well, what is it that the chamber should look out for in our membership? What are the hooks we should be mindful of and say, actually, from what you've just said, and I've got a whole bunch of people together in a room tonight. We're doing one of those unusual things. We're starting to see each other in 3D in the same room. And what would be the sorts of things I might ask that would prompt whether there was an interest? And I'm talking, particularly in my case, more a company that is here in the UK, but has a passion for doing and making a difference in South Africa.
Lee, do you want to start? And then I'll build on what you've said.
So I think you kind of answered your own question there, Sharon. If there's a company that's wanting to do good in South Africa and is really passionate about youth employment, we can really tailor our program to suit your needs. If you have any organizations that have specific empowerment needs, whether it's they want to do an EEIP program or they need assistance with their BE levels, Yes is a great way to affect broad-based change while assisting with their transformation goals. And really, if you have any companies that are really wanting to focus on their sustainability strategies and indices, so ESG and SDG, there was a comment in the chat around global warming and conservation and environmental initiatives. You know, we work with host partners in conservation and green energy, etc. So if clients have a specific need that they want to place youth in green host partners, we have a number of host partners that can assist them in the E of the ESG with, and we're very happy to help with that. Farah, I'm not sure if you want to add.
So, thanks, Lee. And I think that you covered it well. I mean, I think, so Sharon, the call to action for us would be that any clients and partners who are associated with the Chamber to please take a look at the impact work we do at YES and to sign up. It does not only have to be for triple BEE reasons. It could be, like Lee said, simply because you as a company want to play a role in how you can curb the youth unemployment crisis we face in our country. As a company who signs up, you'd be part of a network of 2,000 entities who have come together and said, you know, beyond business as usual, we want to have an impact. And you can align that impact either directly with your operations by placing youth into your company, or you can align that impact with whatever your CSI objectives are, or your SDG, or your ESG strategy. We're constantly looking at how we empowering youth with critical tools and skills that will enhance their employability, and how these youth can also feed back into the communities that they come from. So our 33 partners range from various sectors, like Lee said, agri and agri-processing, green energy, conservation. We've got partners within healthcare, ECD practitioners, Akibas is here doing work within the ICT and the digital space. So there's really a pool of critical skills that young people can gain. And we'd really, really love to get more companies who sign up and make sustainable impact with us. I think what makes YES really unique is that, yes, we are an NPO, but we are governed as if we are a for-profit entity. We've got an excellent board of directors. We've got an excellent and really exceptional ExCo structure with a really structured team. We do constant reporting. We've got great monitoring and evaluation throughout the program, and we ensure that we're delivering operational excellence to our clients at all times.
Very, very positive. Juanita, final comment from you as we need to end now. Is there anything you'd like to just add quickly to that?
Sharon, I think that the one thing that we need to do in order to create these opportunities and to bring people together is we need to be much better at telling the stories. Mm-hmm. When we've been virtual for such a long time, and although that's the norm these days, those face-to-face meetings and the conversation is where you really get to the heart of people. And I want to maybe end off by saying we started a project in Richards Bay, and we went to go and meet with the youth, and they asked us, how do we actually this program is about technology and running a business on technology, but I want to have a chicken farm. And, it's as far away from technology as you can come. But by speaking to them and telling the story of successful people that's done it before them, we walked away after a 2-hour intervention with Mr. Chicken Farmer now having a transporter who's taking his chickens to the purchaser who was a caterer. And suddenly, instead of having 3 different businesses, they had this supply chain of collaborating, of supporting each other, of the one had the order already, the other one was the provider and the transporter. That's what we need to do. We need to create platforms where we tell the youth stories. And by doing that, it sparks something in someone else. So it's getting
find each other.
Yeah, and it's getting corporates together to say, if you're only in the green economy, it doesn't mean you can't get involved in education. It doesn't mean there's not a link to mining or to any other industry. It's collectively, we can do so much more. And I think that's what I want to leave is talk, explore, look at
entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Thank you very much, ladies. This has been absolutely amazing. I'm sorry that we lost Akita. She unfortunately obviously wasn't able to get back, so probably had some load shedding in her area. But thank you to Akifa Hartley, who's been fantastic, and to Dad, who's been on the line with us as well. And to all the rest of you, the chat has been the most positively active chat I've ever seen. And Mark, thank you for driving the solutions and the information that you have done. It's been very, very valuable. Leanne, Farai, Juanita, thank you so much. It's been inspiring. There's a whole month of us focused on youth, but there's a lifetime of focusing on the employment of our youth, not just a month. So thank you for your time, and to everyone else who's joined the South African Chamber, thank you very much. And we look out for our next program that involves youth, entrepreneurs, solutions, whatever it might be. There's more to come from where this one came. Thank you very much, and for all the contribution from the audience as well. Thanks a lot. Bye.